So Israel's been hearing from Western leaders saying after the Haniya assassination, that Israel needs to stop being so inflammatory and that, we don't want to escalate things. It's just ridiculous, quite frankly. Israel eliminates the chief terror operator behind October 7th and many, many decades of terrorism and murder. And somehow that's an escalation in order to do justice. But anyway, Mosab Hassan Yousef, the son of a Hamas co-founder and co-leader who now is a great supporter of Israel, he had some words for those who are very much in the appeasement camp that don't want to see an escalation. He's made some comments online. This is what he said. He said, many Westerners think by avoiding war, the threat would disappear. They have been calling for a permanent ceasefire that would grant victory to rapists, murderers, and savages, not realizing the long-term consequences of such strategy. We should have hit Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iran so hard and so strong until they came to realize that we can't live with their violence and intimidation. But instead, many of us validated their atrocities and celebrated their horrific crimes. What happened in Gaza is a tragedy orchestrated by the same enemy. And if we want it to never happen again, then we must eliminate the perpetrators who gamble with children's blood for political gain, not by rewarding them. This is the way we protect the future of children from those who are determined to enslave this generation and the next generation to their narrow view of life. Submitting to their desire will make things worse. If we are to fulfill all their wishes, Earth will be corrupted and there will be no safe place for women and children. This is an ugly war we have not initiated or desired to endure. We have no choice but to fight until the end. If you don't want to fight it, it is your choice, but at least honour the effort of those who have been risking their lives to fight evil. I think the most important line he says is that very first line, that many Westerners think by avoiding war, the threat would disappear. Well, 2 words in response to that. Neville Chamberlain. Okay, he was the leader of the country that I live in, the UK, his view of dealing with Adolf Hitler, who had a genocidal, evil, dominant approach to wanting to deal with those that he decided he wanted to victimize. The approach of Britain was, we're so exhausted from a First World War. And by the way, people easily dismiss the arguments of Chamberlain and others. Churchill was a lone voice that said we cannot ignore this. And people think, I would have been with Churchill. It would have been so obvious. It would have been the obvious move to be against Hitler, obviously. But you know what? They were exhausted from World War I. Economically, it was so difficult. And who wants to send so many people to war? No one expected in World War I to have so many millions of soldiers dying. It was an absolute bloodbath. And so they think, well, we've got to avoid war with Germany again at all costs. But of course, sometimes, as much as it is painful, you can't do that. Because all it does is lead to further death in the future. It kicks the can down the road. Appeasement does not equal peace. That's the big miscalculation that people make. And he's absolutely right. That Israel, the only way to really produce peace is through strength, is through escalation dominance, is by telling your enemies, don't mess with us. If you do, you're done. So it was absolutely right to get Haniyeh. And it was a remarkable, spectacular achievement to be able to get Ismail Haniyeh inside of Tehran itself in his big protected compound. And one of the things that I'm starting to hear from senior officials higher up is that actually America has been withholding some arms to Israel, and that's partly why we're seeing the war being elongated and taking such a long time, which is completely unacceptable. And it leads to more suffering for all involved. Yes, war is horrific. And actually, the quickest, most efficient, and most important way of dealing with it is to ensure you have totally demoralized the enemy and created a situation, a circumstance in which there will not be a ceasefire, but peace for a generation. And the way you achieve that is through strength. And it's really unacceptable that America, if it's true, and it seems like it is, because Netanyahu even put out a video a month or 2 ago saying America's holding arms for us. How is this acceptable? If they're doing that, that is frankly unforgivable. The withholding of arms based on a false moral equation. Israel doesn't want war. the Jewish people were the first to teach the world the value of world peace as an ideal. The quote of Isaiah, "Nation shall not lift sword against a nation," is up on a wall in the United Nations in New York. We taught the world this. We understand that. We also understand that sometimes the only way to achieve that vision is by going to war. And maybe Israel's going to have to rethink who she does military deals with, who she depends on. I'm sure there's rethinking happening now. If anyone doubted the intelligence and ingenuity of Israel, I think that's been a lot less in doubt after the recent Hania elimination. Hi, thank you so much for watching. To watch another one, click here. To stay up to date with all our content, click here to subscribe. And if you're able to, you can help support JTV to grow and grow by clicking join below this video, where you can become a member and get perks including early access to videos and private live discussions with me. But most of all, you'll be partnering with us on our mission to change the world.